if you want to change your life, you have to start changing your shoulds, and they need to become musts. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Start Today podcast. I'm your host, Chris Cavallini. Today, we have an awesome episode for you. We're coming directly at you in the Q&A format. As most of you know, Q&A is my shit. This is the format I enjoy the most because we take the questions straight from you, our listeners. So always excited to jump into the Q&A format. I look at it as an opportunity to give back and also to answer some questions that we feel are, not just directly answering the individual that asked, but are just relatable to and could benefit a lot of people, as it were. Before we jump into that, I am joined, of course, by my co-host, the man, the myth, the icon, Rick Schaff. Whoa. Rick, what's happening?
That's a good introduction. Thank you. I'm good. Happy New Year, everyone.
Yeah, man. What's new? What's been going on? Anything?
No, I just had a long holiday, my birthday, and
yeah,
it just keeps going on. So I'm usually really happy when it's all done.
Yeah.
But it was fun. It was great.
Yeah.
You guys gave me a great birthday.
Yeah. I mean, it's the least we could do, man, for everything you do for us. But so obviously, you alluded to the fact it is the new year.
Yeah.
When this episode drops, I think we'll be 10 or 11 days in, as it were, statistically speaking. 4 days from now, January 15th marks, it's a big date, as it were. That's the day that the research tells us that 95% of people who have committed to resolutions have either gotten off track or just given up altogether.
Yeah.
So, with that said, have you committed any new goals or set any resolutions for 2021?
Yeah, I have. I haven't actually sat down and wrote everything out yet. I've been pretty busy. I had people in town, blah, blah, blah. However, yeah, the one thing I've committed to is I love these 30-day challenges, 30, 40 day, but I like the 30-day. And the 30-day challenge for me is, this one is going to be emphasis on detox. I love to detox. And
before you get into that, give the people a quick background, bio summary of some of your credentials as it relates to nutrition, holistic nutrition, all those things. Because our listeners, a lot of them probably aren't aware that your expertise is quite extensive.
Yeah, so I got involved in the bodybuilding health industry, and at the time when I got involved in it, I got involved because I wanted to promote health and fitness. And what I kind of really learned by being in there is that it really wasn't about health and fitness. It was more about how to look great.
For one day.
Yeah, and that worked for a while, but then I really wanted to understand how the human body works. So I started to study the human body, and I got a master's in holistic nutrition, and then I stumbled onto metabolic typing, which to me was unbelievable. It actually prevented me from going to school to be a naturopath. I was set up to go to school to be a naturopath in Arizona, and after reading metabolic typing, I realized that really choosing the food wisely that you put in your body was maybe the best medicine ever. And so I really went down that path, and I became a functional diagnostic nutritionist and probably a bunch of other little certifications along the way. But I just really wanted to understand, what the hell happens when you eat your food? How is it used for energy, and how is it broken down, and how does it affect you? So I embarked on a long journey.
So talk about your this 30-day challenge and the detox that you're...
Yeah, so for me, when I do a 30-day challenge, I do everything all day long is geared toward just improvement, breath work, all those things that we talk about here. But the detox is, I really wanted to kind of really push into that. And aside from the normal herbs and things I take, I really wanted to get into dry heat saunas. And I really wanted to do that maybe 4 days a week is sort of my goal, to get in there, stay in there an hour, and drink a lot more water than I typically do. I drink water. I'm pretty good at drinking water, but I mean, you know what I mean? A gallon.
That's a long time for the sauna. So back when COVID kind of first popped off, I started to really, like a lot of people, look into different things that I could do to improve my immunity. As you know, I got really sick at the beginning of the year.
Exactly.
So when things like that happen, you are faced with the reality that, you are mortal And just like everybody else, I have a responsibility to do all of the things that are in my power to protect my health, to preserve my health, to increase immunity, and just keep my immune system strong. And the research that I did on sauna, the sauna was extremely impressive and fascinating. You see, a lot of people listening to this are like, oh, I use the sauna. And, you know, just like me, I've used the sauna for years, but it's just like anything. It's not what you do, it's how you do it. And, you know, going into the sauna before a workout or after workout, you know, haphazardly for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 minutes, and then kind of stepping out once it starts to get really hot, that is not where the benefit comes into play. In fact, when it starts to get real uncomfortable, when you start to struggle and it becomes hard to breathe, that is actually when the good shit begins to actually happen. And the
Just
good
like
shit I'm
anything,
referring right. And the good shit I'm referring to is the activation of heat shock proteins, which we could spend an entire podcast talking about that. I believe we talked about it a little bit when Dr. Saman was on, but the sauna is absolutely phenomenal. And, you know, I'm fortunate to have a sauna in the building that I live in, and a dry sauna. So the protocol that I follow is I'm doing 3 or 4 days, a minimum of 3. I have not missed in the 7 months I've been doing this religiously. I have not missed a week where I went at least 3 times. And I'm in there at 180 degrees. All these things matter, these details. The 180 degrees is basically the max of what most dry saunas will go up to. And the benchmark is 20 minutes. At 20 minutes, that's when you get the optimal release of heat shock proteins. And in the short term, it does a number of things, right? Detoxifies the body. It's going to definitely can kind of de-stress you, calm you out a little bit, those type of things. But in the long term, there's studies that have been done over in Sweden where the sauna is actually a huge part of their culture. The elderly, children, animals even, they're putting in the sauna, that 3 to 4 days a week at 20 minutes per session at 180 degrees has shown to decrease instances of all-cause mortality by 40%.
That's pretty impressive.
That's insane.
That is crazy.
And it's like, you know, these are things like, this will never be on TV. This will never be on the news. They don't want us to know these type of things. But the sauna, for me, I mean, you know, so many benefits between activating your immune system, elevating your levels of consciousness, detoxifying the body. It's a huge opportunity to improve your mental toughness. I mean, there are times where I'm in there and depending on what I have going on, depending on the day, it's like some days the shit just feels so much hotter and is so much harder than others. But that's what, you know, you got to push through that.
Have you ever tried breath work in there?
Of course.
And I figured you would.
It's so the breath work though that you do in the sauna is not like the traditional, like, because when you're in that environment, it's really hot and warm. You do not have that same lung capacity. So breath work is what I often default to when it gets really tough. And I'll just kind of do like a, you know, breath in for 4, maybe hold for 2 or 3 and then out for 4, just whatever I can do to not focus on the fact that I'm just insanely hot and uncomfortable. I just want to run out of the sauna and chug a gallon of water. But that's great that you're doing that. Cool. And you're sorry to, you know, cut you off, but to the people who don't know, man, I would love the only reason that I haven't really dove into discussing the sauna and its amazing benefits at length. I talk about it on my social media often, but the reason I haven't done it on the podcast, I'd really like to get an expert on the sauna and heat shock proteins on here to really talk about it in a way that is obviously above my level of comprehension and understanding.
And in the same regard, the heat, you know, it's cooler out now in Tampa, so that's the ice bath time.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. It's time for that. We're doing that tomorrow at Nutrition Solutions.
Oh, nice.
Damn right.
Yeah.
And the other thing about the sauna and the heat and heat stress in general is it improves circulation.
Oh, yeah.
And when people hear, circulation, I don't think most people even, first of all, understand what that is or recognize why it's important. But circulation is what makes everything possible. Oh, yeah. Every function in your body internally is made possible by the level and the rate and manner of which blood is able to travel throughout your body. And not having good circulation is something that can
that's when stuff dies.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's when, you know, organ failure, things like that.
I always tell everybody, like the basic premise of like, why it's important to eat and drink or choose the best things, is because that creates your blood for the most part. And then that blood circulates and it goes to every part of your body and it feeds it. I mean, it nourishes it and then it also detoxifies it.
Yeah.
So it's critically important. That's why eat healthy, make healthy blood,
Sure.
circulate it. And that's why exercise is so important.
Yeah. And to that point, in the sauna, you're in there, it's hot, your heart rate is going to naturally increase. So that's also an opportunity to burn more calories. You're increasing your basal metabolic rate in the time that you're in there. And, whether you're doing it after a workout or not, or, I mean, look, perhaps you're somebody who hasn't even got off the couch yet and doesn't have the energy yet currently to go exercise, which I think everybody does. I think everybody can do something. Yeah. But if you're looking to get started and going in the right direction, I mean, just going in the sauna and elevating your metabolic rate for that time, that could be the first step into taking your fitness journey. If you're really out of shape, because you're not doing anything, right? You're not expelling any physical energy. You're just sitting there and letting the heat do what it's capable of doing.
And what people can do that don't have a sauna available or ice baths or whatever, it's pretty
well,
cold
everybody
out.
Pretty much, if you're listening to this podcast, you have the ability to make an ice bath. Correct me if I'm wrong.
You could just fill your bathtub up with ice, right?
That's it.
But you can go into your shower because it's cold out. The pipes are cold and the water gets cold as shit, right? So if you go hot a minute, cold a minute, or vice versa, and you're creating this power sense of circulation because the blood is going to the surface of the skin and then it's going back in toward the organs. And you're creating this incredible amount of circulation, so it's incredibly healing to do that. And it's something you can do like right in your home.
Damn right. Anything else to add to that with your 30-day detox?
No, man, I'm just.
You cutting anything out?
Yeah. Oh. Like I said, when you start the day and you end the day, everything is like geared toward improvement.
Sure.
Every part of it, and a big part of it's spiritual to me. It's everything. It's all the things that you want to do to get better. So not just detox, but training and the spiritual side, and really I try to connect with God and find out what He wants from me.
I hear you.
Be diligent.
So just to kind of add to that, as an extension of that, I too am doing a 30-day challenge.
Okay.
Before I share what that is, every year at this time of year, we do a 30-day challenge. Obviously, we just filmed some content, out there prior to doing this with the Nutrition Solutions team. And, we give out some prize money, $1,000 to whoever has the most significant progress in that 30-day period. And it's not geared around weight loss. It's not geared around, necessarily like adding muscle. It's geared around whoever has the most just radical, impressive, call it transformation. I use that term carefully in 30 days. But just so everybody's clear hearing this, you can get a lot done in 30 days.
Yeah.
When you burn your boats, commit, and go all in, it would shock people how much you can actually get done in 30 days. And what I do is I create this printable PDF, and it's not just a fitness challenge. It is, but it's a mental and physical fitness challenge. And I basically draw up the criteria for the diet, the workouts. They're required to do 30 minutes of reading in a day, every day, in addition to the personal development that they do at work. Every morning, a 3-minute cold shower. And then once a week, which will be on Fridays, we'll be doing it tomorrow, a 3-minute ice bath.
Nice.
And for a lot of them, who've never done that before, it's always entertaining. We get them out there and do it that first time. And, people, a lot of times, I would say 50% of the time they get in and they pop right out after about 10 seconds. And that's with no coaching, but that's also by design. And then, I pull them aside, teach them how to breathe properly and get their mind right, and then coach them through it. And then when they're able to actually get through it, not only do they feel amazing for the rest of the day, but they've just realized something about themselves that they didn't know before, a limiting belief they just broke.
That's the greatest thing.
It
A
is.
lot of them sit there and they're like, they don't think they can do it.
You filmed when Chris Gethin was here doing it. And what you saw, I wasn't here that day. I came in later, but you said it was pretty powerful and incredible how some of these guys and girls pushed through.
Oh yeah. And they were just blown away by that they could do it. Like you said, it's awesome to see.
And historically we've had just some, from day 1 to day 30, it was like just significant changes. But here I write out the entire program for them. So it's super structured, and there's that accountability, right? There's the community, there's the team, they're supporting each other. You know, although there's one prize, there can be only one winner. You know, I think everybody here recognizes that it's their responsibility not only to kick ass during the 30-day challenge, but to do everything in their power to help their team members kick ass as well.
Agreed.
So we got that going on. And I decided to give up smoking weed for 30 days, which might not seem like that big of a deal to people, but I've smoked pretty consistently, like at night, for well over a year now, I would say. It was strange because I got out of the military. I didn't smoke for, I joined the military, excuse me. I obviously didn't smoke anymore. I smoked in high school, didn't smoke in the military. And then I don't think I really started like even messing with it till like my early 30s, but it was like intermittently if I was out somewhere like drinking and somebody had it, but I never really enjoyed it because I don't think I had the right intention. And I had a different association from it from when I was in high school, you know, smoking weed, getting in fights, or smoking weed, eating donuts and taking a nap and waking up feeling just shitty, called burnt out. But, you know, I decided to do this just to reset. I think with anything, whether it's good, and for me, you know, smoking is good. I think a lot of great ideas come to me when I'm in that state. It relaxes me, and I don't mean necessarily like relaxes me to like lay on the couch. It relaxes me as far as pulls whatever stress and clutter might be in my mind, basically removes that from me in you know, over the course of a couple minutes, where I can transition and go train and focus on my training, as opposed to being in my training and having my head, my body is physically present, but my head is in a completely different world. And I gained an awareness this year when, you know, during COVID, when I was able to really focus more on my training, because I had, you know, more energy with everything being locked down. And I'd realized, like, holy shit, like, I don't even know how long it's been, but I haven't been present during my training. And, you know, people would be shocked to hear that if they know me and see the way that I train, but I know the difference. And I know I was doing what I was doing, going through the motions, muscle memory and that type of thing. But being present in your training and not fucking around on the phone or worrying what's going on Instagram, texting, dude, it literally, it's a massive, even doing cardio. Like if you're doing cardio and you're on the phone the entire time, you're up, dude. Like you just are. Like, and I'm sorry that this is going to burst some people's bubble. Like, oh, I'd like to be on my phone, and makes the time go by. Like, cool. But there's no way you can put in what's the purpose of doing cardio? The purpose of doing cardio is to elevate your heart rate at a consistent rate for a specified period of time. If you're not conscious of that and thinking about that, and you're, you know, flipping through Instagram or focused on every other thing, there's no way that you'll be able to effectively get yourself in that zone, which is the only way that you get results. And I say that because I was one of those people. And even if you are getting results, just understand what's possibly being left on the table.
Right.
So yeah, 30-day challenge. It's not really challenging because there's no way that I'm not going to do it, obviously, especially now, me putting it out there.
It's just like, it's crazy how good you feel at the end of that.
Well, I can't wait to smoke that first time on day 31. That's probably going to feel like, I'll feel like the first time I smoked again when I was in seventh grade. I remember I smoked for the first time in seventh grade. I about lost my mind. I ate a whole box of honeycomb cereal.
Jesus.
Yeah, I don't know why I remember that.
That's funny.
Right. But aside from that, my real resolution is to start going to bed at a consistent time every single night. And that time is 10 p.m. And when I say in bed, I mean like I'm in bed, everything's put up, phone's in the other room, like, you know, no TV, like I'm in bed, ready to go to bed. Because one thing I've been really slacking on is the level of discipline I deploy with the time I go to bed. And I'm obviously pretty good about the time I get up, but I just can't help but wonder what I'm leaving on the table by not just, you know what I mean? Sure. So that's my New Year resolution for 2021 is to just get more structured with the time that I go to bed, so I can just be more rejuvenated, and you know, in the hours that I'm awake, just, you know, go harder, do better, and accomplish more.
Cool.
But
I like it.
Yeah, dude. So let's jump into the Q&A. We have some questions here, came straight from our listeners, and yeah, man, take it away.
Okay. Question number 1. What was the biggest lesson you learned from your time in the Navy? John.
So, John, I appreciate the question. The biggest lesson that I learned in the Navy, God, I learned so
I was
many.
going to say, there must be so many crazy things.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine.
But for sure, the most compelling, the most significant, I'll list a couple of the other ones as well, a couple of the other honorable mentions. The most significant, compelling, and life-changing lesson that the Navy taught me was the importance of structure. And what I mean by that is, when you're in the military and you go through basic training, which is boot camp, you learn the importance of structure and attention to detail. And you basically are trained and taught that everything is a process. Everything is a process, from the way you make your bed, from the way you get dressed, from the manner in which you iron your uniform, to the way that you greet a superior. Everything is a process, and it is done the same way, and it is done and developed through repetition and consistency. And just, in the military, you know where to be, when to be there, what you're going to be doing, what to be wearing, all of these things. When, we were doing jobs and we go out and do missions, we would have certain standard operating procedures that we would follow. And even though some of the work, the nature of the work, were things that we'd done 100 times in the past, we would literally reference the same standard operating procedure, use it as a checklist, and just go through it methodically, carefully, to make sure that nothing was missed. Because in situations like that, if something does get missed, that could result in the loss of a life. So structure is just so important. A lot of people wonder why they can't seem to get things done. They can't seem to manage their time properly. They can't seem to just, go from where they're at to where they aspire to be. But, if you were to dissect their life, their lifestyle, and their schedule, there's no structure to it. Yeah. What gets scheduled gets done. That's something that I say often. When we set goals, it's not good enough just saying, okay, this is what I want to do. Here's what I want to do. Here's when I want to do it by. Like, that's fine. And that's great. And that's obviously where you have to start. But the reason we reference the fact that 95% of people by the 15th of this month, like, they've already quit on their goal or have fallen off track. Yeah. And that's pathetic. Like, straight up, that's pathetic. Mm-hmm. But why does that happen? Well, it happens because just saying I'm going to do this isn't enough. You have to create systems and a structured routine that essentially is engineered around forcing the result that you're after. Setting a time to go work out, setting a time to cook your food, setting a time to go grocery shopping, or being efficient and using an app like Instacart that'll deliver your groceries for you. Structure is it's so important, and the people that are the most successful people that I know, although they are disciplined to some degree, what I feel they have more so than the people who are consistently falling short or just not really going anywhere is they have structure. Like, every Monday, right, their schedule looks the same. Same with Tuesday, and they're setting their days, their weeks, and their months up in such a way where all the things that they need to keep up with, which, as you grow and evolve, and especially as an entrepreneur, somebody in my position, I have a lot of different things that I keep up with, like on completely different ends of the spectrum. It would be impossible to keep up with half of those things at a high level if I didn't methodically plan time scheduled towards doing those things. It would be impossible. So the military taught me the importance of structure. And, that lesson, I think, was learned most abundantly when I got out of the military and I no longer had it.
Yeah.
When I got out of the military, I essentially, I've told this story a million times. Every interview that I've ever given, this comes up. I basically, one day to the next, went from having a purpose and a mission, something that, I felt pride about, like just my reason for getting out of bed every morning.
But that's the difference. In the military, you had somebody structuring it for you.
Yes.
And that's the big problem with people that I talk to that aren't entrepreneurial.
Mm-hmm.
They can't
can't comprehend it. Yeah.
Yeah. And if they try to work without that structure put in but place, they
Doesn't
just
work.
end up watching soap operas and eating bonbons.
Well, you resort back to the familiar.
Yeah.
To the known, which is what you have done historically. So, when I lost literally one day to the next, I went from having everything just mapped out. Okay. I had to be at work at 06:45. Okay. This was the uniform of the day that I was in. This was my schedule. This is the time I got off work, all of these things. And to no longer having that, it really, things got rough for me for a little while. But yeah, it's the importance of structure. Obviously the military, also really, beats into your mind how important it is to pay attention to the details. Attention to detail is something that's discussed, from day one in basic training, but paying attention to the details, being meticulous, taking pride in the details, and just understanding that, the details matter. And oftentimes the things that separate, just good from great comes down to those small details. And, as we always reference, how you do one thing is how you do all things. Like, you can't just be someone who just kind of like puts everything you got and invest all of your effort into the things that you enjoy doing or you feel good about. Like, when you take pride in the details, it's because you take pride in your work. You recognize that your work is an extension of you, and you're paying attention to the details because it's the right thing to do, and it conditions you for just for growth, and it is a direct byproduct of a success mindset. And talk about discipline. Obviously, in the military, they make you understand, made me understand just how disciplined I was not. Yeah. And you learn the importance of discipline as it relates to all things. From the time you eat, how much time they give you to eat, the way that you iron your uniform, right? The proper way to polish your boots, and an acceptable level of shine on your boots, which all these things are an extension of you. If you look good, you are good. When you look good, you feel good. When you feel good, you can perform at a higher level than when you're not feeling super confident. So there was that. And again, I would give an honorable mention to the importance to have the ability to stay calm in extremely stressful situations. During some of my dive training, we were put in situations where, the most uncomfortable imaginable scenario possible. You're at the bottom of a 12-foot pool, you're in a scuba diving rig, and basically they come down, they pull your regulator out of your mouth. They basically smash you against the bottom of the pool for 20 seconds. They shut your regulator off. They tie it in a knot around the manifold of the tanks. They're going to grab your mask and pull it and snap it back in your face. And they're they're basically just f***ing you up. And you are trained ahead of time to, well, first of all, you can't fight back, right? You have to hold onto your tanks, because what they're trying to do is take your tanks away from you. They take your tanks away from you, you're dead. You're dead in the real world. You lose your tanks, you lose your air, you're f***ed. So, they're trying to assess your ability to stay composed in that situation. And prior to that, in a classroom setting, you're trained on a process on how you put yourself back together. Like, it's not just doing it the way that you want, it's doing it in the detail-oriented, methodical, step-by-step process that has been pre-outlined for you. And you're having to do this being about to pass out due to lack of oxygen, extremely stressed, because, not only can you not breathe, the way that you essentially get air, there's two ways. You keep yourself calm and then put yourself back together and turn your regulator back on, or you shoot to the surface and there's all the air that you want up there as soon as your head breaks the surface. The problem with that is when you're breathing compressed air at depth, if you were to do that, the partial pressure of the air that's in your lungs would expand rapidly to the point it would cause your lungs to explode. It would cause something that's called arterial gas embolism, which is pretty much guaranteed to result in death. Jeez. So yeah, so like, you know, those situations definitely taught me the importance of being composed in those in those just extremely stressful scenarios and when all hell breaks loose. And I really think that, you know, that certainly helped me later in life with other things, you know, whether it was when I got in trouble or just various crises that I went through and instances with adversity that needed to be confronted and subsequently ran through with Nutrition Solutions.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah. Maybe I should figure out how to like roll that training model
Bring
into
a pool in one day. We got something
Man,
for
this is a
ya.
good idea. Somebody needs to write that down. Let's move on to the next question if we could.
All right. If you get anxiety, how would you handle it? At they call _him D.
Just like everybody else, I too get anxiety. I think that's worth pointing out is if you're somebody who gets anxiety, it doesn't make you unique, doesn't make you special. It doesn't mean you need a pill, right? It means you're a human being. I mean, what is anxiety? This isn't the Webster's definition, but anxiety is basically like stress or worry about something that hasn't exactly happened yet, right? We don't get anxiety over things that have already happened. We get anxiety over situations that probably haven't materialized yet and in all likelihood never will. So the remedy, the cure, the antidote for anxiety is and always will be action. What are you worried about? What is stressing you? Okay, got it? Now go do something to fix it to where that thing is no longer giving you anxiety and isn't something you're worried about. Sitting back and just kind of waiting for it to flesh itself out, that is not a winning strategy. In fact, that is going to do nothing but perpetuate your levels of anxiety. The resolution for anxiety, uncertainty, fear, it's literally all the same. You move towards the things that are scaring you, that you're afraid of, or that are giving you anxiety, as it were. You know, it's also really important to be aware like of those triggers. Cause as I said, you know, there are certain times where you'll have anxiety and, you know, you can't just necessarily do something right then and there and make it go away as far as solving the problem that hasn't materialized yet. But there is some things you had mentioned, you know, breath work.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
I mean, man, it's like,
yeah, that's what I reach for now, which is interesting.
Me too, man.
I say prior I would have reached for some cannabis, like oil or something to calm down.
or like a workout.
And it does work, or a workout, but it's like sometimes like if it's like at night and you can't sleep because you have some kind of anxiety, you're not even sure why. Breath work is where it's at for me.
Yeah,
now.
dude, it's amazing. And again, this is also something that I would like to get a subject matter expert on to discuss. Again, breath work has changed my life. I've been doing it now consistently for 13 months. The reason I know 13 months, kind of a weird time, I started to do it consistently when I went to Costa Rica for the spiritual retreat with the ayahuasca deal. And I've stayed consistent with it. You know, I would say now I do it on average 4 mornings per week. And when I say breath work, I'm talking about like just a 13-minute, you know, 30 breaths in, breath hold, deep breath in, repeat that for 3 rounds. But now that I've become pretty proficient in it and recognize how just amazingly important and impactful it is, like, dude, I'm doing breath work all throughout the day. And now it's to the point where sometimes it's not even conscious. Like when I'm driving, I'll be doing it. Sometimes like in the gym.
Which
like
they tell you not to do, by the way.
What's that?
Which they tell you not to do.
Well, no, I'm not holding my breath. I'm not holding my breath.
Because I do that. I actually, you know what? If when I'm tired, I start to do breath work.
Yeah. So
to fill myself with oxygen.
Breath work in this instance, mindful breathing.
Yeah.
Right. Taking the time and deliberately breathing in a certain repetition where you're concentrating on the breath. You're concentrating on a, 4-second inhale and a 4-second rhythmic exhale. Man, the breath is so important. And our physiological states, stress, anxiety, fear, gratitude, inspiration, joy, all of these things, when we look at the emotions or feelings that are on the negative end of the spectrum, what you'll find is the breaths that we're taking in those scenarios are just short and shallow.
Yeah.
On the other hand, when we're in a state of just peak joy, inspiration, and creativity, where we're drawing breaths, very forcefully and deliberately, and the more we breathe, the better our brains and bodies are actually able to perform. It's like, what a concept.
Yeah, and we talked about this before, but it's so interesting because when you really look at breath work, you realize that the start of it all happens when you start to train.
Yeah.
That's like it, but it's not structured enough.
Right.
So whenever you structure it, then it's like
when you're training hard, you basically accidentally stumble across some of the positive effects of breath work. But then when you start actually doing breath work and start recognizing the crossovers and similarities, you realize that's where it is. The reason you feel so good after you train, whether you're doing an intense cardio workout, weights, whatever, it's not because of the activity your muscles are doing. I promise. It's the manner of which you're breathing. Mm-hmm. And it's a really, really powerful thing. So just to directly answer, this individual's question, anytime you get stressed, anxious, overwhelmed, you say, hey, stop and breathe. Like that's a thing because it's based off of, it has factual premise, but you have to be mindful of it. You have to get your mind has to take control in those situations. And instead of focusing on the problem and exacerbating the issue and exacerbating your levels of shittiness, you take a moment, you detach, and you forcefully take 10 to 20 breaths where, you're breathing in, nose or mouth, it truly doesn't matter, but you want to suck in as much air as humanly possible. And then on the exhale, you exhale rhythmically. You don't want to completely empty your lungs, but then you repeat that. And honestly, if you do that 10 times, I guarantee you will feel better than you just did.
Yeah.
It's a guarantee. So again, if you get anxiety, how do you handle it? You handle it by handling it, okay? How you don't handle it is by not doing anything. How you don't handle it is continuing to focus on this thing that's causing you stress and causing you anxiety. You take action, you have that uncomfortable conversation, you do the work, you do whatever needs to be done to where this thing, this scenario that you're envisioning in your mind, to where you force the outcome that is the opposite of that. And while you're feeling those feelings of overwhelm in the moment, you breathe.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the next question.
Right. The next question is the question what's been on everybody's mind. When is the last time you had fast food and what did you have?
I find it hilarious that this is a question that people want to know. And full disclosure, before we started recording this, you and I were just chopping it up, and I was reviewing the outline, and a couple of my employees were in the office, and they overheard me talking to you. And I basically said, I think it's really stupid that somebody would want to know that. I was trying to,
of all the questions,
of all the things, like, look, I feel that I'm very generous with my time and my energy, and my goal, my objective is to help people. And the reason I carry myself the way that I do on social media, the reason we do this podcast, especially the Q&A episodes, is to give back. And it's like, I couldn't understand how somebody thought that was something that's like, you got a question for me. That's what we're going with. Right. So I'm going to talk a little shit about it. I'm like, I just think this is stupid. I would never answer that, whatever. And I'm walking to the bathroom, literally right before we started recording. And Tara, who's one of my team members who was in the room at the time, she's like, hey, Chris, like I didn't mean to be eavesdropping on you guys, but I heard what you were saying, and I just wanted to throw out there, sometimes, and Tara's a fitness competitor. Yeah. She's, working on becoming a pro. She's very much,
military.
She looks great. Former military. Exactly. she said, some of my girlfriends sometimes ask me like, hey, like when, you eat bad, like what all do you eat? And, they're just kind of looking for just kind of a barometer of just maybe some things that are okay to eat in these worst case scenarios. And I said, yeah, that's a good point, Tara. Like, honestly though, I feel like maybe this person is just like looking to have me say something to justify them eating bad or whatever. So I'm like, I don't want to feed any attention into that. And I don't want to set a bad example. I pointed out like one thing you'll never see me do, like on my social media, which is a popular thing that people that are in really good shape do. And I guess normal people as well, but you see a lot of people in really good shape every once in a while, they're posting like this extravagant cheat meal that they have. Like I never do that, bro. No. And that doesn't mean I don't ever have cheat meals, by the way. I don't have like a structured regimen as it relates to cheat meals, but like I feel in my position, I have responsibility to set a good example. And I'm just aware that there are people that are just operating on a lower level of consciousness that might see me do that and just think in their mind, oh, he eats like that. So that means I can eat like that. And as long as I work out, whatever. And it's like, I'm trying to avoid any shit like that. But then she said, well, maybe it's just because this is what got me. She's like, maybe, these people just want to know that you're human. And I kind of like cowered down. I put my head down. I walked up. I gave her a hug. I'm like, Tara, you were awesome. Thank you for saying this. And I'm going to answer it on the podcast. So without further ado, we don't know who asked this because I deleted it from the thing and when I was in that state of mind. So whoever asked this, thank you for asking. And, just changing my perspective. I really appreciate that. I didn't mean to kind of default to the negative there, but I caught myself. We're going to answer it. So the question is, when's the last time I ate fast food and what did I eat? So I'm not really sure what the criteria is for fast food. I think
I was gonna say.
To certain people that would kind of fluctuate, but I'm going to go with like the fastest of fast food of what I would think. When I think fast food, I think like, the drive-through right? Like Taco Bell, sure. McDonald's, Burger King, that type of thing. The last time I ate fast food was about 3 months ago. And I blame my friend Raj, Jinder Mahal, WWE. I take full responsibility in blaming him. We were working out. I don't know how the hell it came up. Oh yeah. He was on a very, very strict diet. And, on a Sunday, he got a cheat meal, and I guess I was asking him, "Hey, so what did you have?" Because it was like a cheat meal and a refeed. They consumed a shit ton of calories, and he was telling me about some Wendy's. He got some Wendy's and all that, and I'm like, "Damn!" I was like, "That's cool, whatever." And dude, this was like probably 3 months ago. So a couple days later, I found myself ordering Wendy's on Uber Eats. Yeah, dude, and I texted him soon after I ate it. I immediately texted him, like cussing him. I'm like, he's like, bro, how was it? I'm like, it was good. I ordered they have like these double cheeseburgers, but the good thing about Wendy's and cheers to them. Not only does their meat seem to be more quote unquote quality than like, the obligatory Burger King and McDonald's, which it's been years since I ever ate something like that. But they have they had a lettuce bun option. So it came, the burger and the lettuce it was firm. It wasn't like, lettuce.
This is becoming a non-cheat meal.
What's that?
This is becoming a non-cheat meal.
Well, no, it's not done. I also ordered a Frosty, a medium Frosty. So
that's good.
That is good. So that was 3 months ago. And about a month after, I ordered Wendy's again, but I didn't order anything but a Frosty. Okay. And here's the thing with that. I never ate it. Obviously I said 3 months was the last time I had it. So this is at night. I trained really, really hard. I obviously didn't eat enough during the day because I got pretty like intensely hungry, like at night. And I'm like, shit, like I need more calories, but I don't feel like, I didn't want to eat anything that late before I went to bed that my body would have to like fight really hard, like any type of food. I try not to eat before I go to bed because it disrupts your sleep patterns. So in my mind, I was thinking, well, I could get a shake like a shake, like a chocolate milkshake, and then put a couple scoops of protein in. Boom, there you go. Like, because your body, like with that, like frozen yogurt, ice cream, believe it or not, your body actually digests that a lot smoother than regular food. It's not the best for you, but this is probably self-justification, whatever the case is. So it was kind of late. I ordered it. There was like a delay with the order, and then it said I canceled my order. And I was like, you know what? Good riddance. I was like, I don't need that anyway. So I probably just had a shake or maybe some fruit, went to bed. Dude, the next morning I woke up and the fucking Frosty was in front of my door. And bro, this ruined. I have been consuming Frosty since I was a little kid. Obviously in my adult life, not that much, but I, to this point, had a pretty positive association with Wendy's Frosties. Do you enjoy a Wendy's Frosty if you were to have it?
Yeah, I haven't in a long time. They were delicious.
They were delicious, right?
Yeah.
Dude, imagine the cup, and there's this like, you know, the clear kind of lid, the clear kind of bubble lid on it. In the cup, you have what is now like clear, murky fluid that's somewhat still transparent, but it's murky. And on top, bro, was this like puddle of sludge. Dude, indescribable. I should have took a picture. No, see, the reason I didn't take a picture of it and post it was because of what I just mentioned. Yeah. But dude, when I saw that, I was like, what the is that? What is that? That's not ice cream.
That's so interesting. Yeah.
So that kind of fucked it up for me. So like the one thing from a fast food establishment that I enjoy, like could say that I enjoyed historically and probably would have enjoyed in the foreseeable future, that's out now. Like, I don't know what that is. I still to this day don't know what it is, but it was like disturbing to think. It's like, why did the whatever chemical components, like when the temperature adjusted, its state basically transmorphed. It's like, what? That should not be in your body.
Yeah, I agree.
So there you go, guys, for whatever it was worth.
All right.
Now, you know, it's about 3 months ago. I don't eat fast food. I despise fast food. If I'm going to eat out, which I do like eat out. I mean, I went to dinner the other night with a buddy, and I always eat clean when I eat out. But when I order in, which I do a few days a week, I order sushi. I'll order a couple rolls of spicy yellowtail or with spicy tuna. I get some mango added into it, possibly some avocado, and a miso soup because, believe it or not, miso is actually good for you and helps aid with digestion. So, but that is fast food for me because I'm ordering it from Uber Eats. I'm not cooking. It's getting delivered. Anything that comes out of a drive-through, stay clear. It's more than likely going to do nothing but move you further away from your goals and leave you full of regret and bloat after the fact.
Agreed. All right, the next question is, I was obese since childhood and have had ups and downs with weight loss. What do you recommend I do to begin to stay consistent? And that's at 7 Dart Wolf.
Yeah, it's a great question. I appreciate your vulnerability and reaching out and asking me this. You know, and unfortunately, a lot of people who struggle with obesity or overweight as children, it spills in. I mean, it's I believe in the mid 60% range as far as basically fat kids who become fat adults, for lack of a better term. What do I recommend you do to stay consistent? God, so many things, right? Like so many things. Like I'm just going to start rattling them off here. I don't have like a prepared scripted answer, and you know, perhaps you're already doing some of these things, but the probability is you're not. You have to begin to establish better just habits and routines that are consistent with the lifestyle that you want to live. The chances are you're probably, you know, living your life and you have habits that are consistent with those of somebody who's overweight, unhealthy, and you know, struggling with obesity. So, you know, what are some of these things that I'm talking about? Well, you should not have any foods in your home that, you know, like any sort of like the desserts or like junk food, chips, things that you objectively know are part of the problem. You need to remove all of that out of your house so there is no temptation. Okay. Again, we talked about the importance of structure earlier. Like, you got to stay consistent with the workouts. And I will tell you that if you've been, well, you obviously haven't been consistent because you're asking why or how to begin staying consistent. You schedule a time, okay? Preferably at the beginning of the day, preferably the first fucking thing that you do, to where, not only do you get it out of the way, not only do you do a workout, feel great, and then, from that elevated state, from that peak mental state, you now then attack the rest of the day. But because a lot of times, you hear so much people after work, they just don't feel like it. After work, after a long day, I planned on going, but then, fill in the fucking blank. Well, how about you stop leaving it? I mean, look, pattern recognition. Recognize that more often than not, that strategy isn't cutting it. So you have to readjust your game plan. And for somebody who's looking to develop a more, just to be healthier and to adopt, habits that are consistent with, being somebody who's confident, fit, in shape and that type of thing, you're going to you have to change, you have to break the pattern. You got to break the pattern. The pattern, for all intents and purposes right now, is probably you not going and working out more often than not. So what would probably be most comfortable for you is to go and work out like after work or whatever. So like the way we can break the pattern is by putting ourselves in an uncomfortable situation where you're getting up earlier than you want to get up. Okay. You're building your discipline off of that. That's an opportunity to develop and cultivate your discipline. Okay. So that's like that opportunity, which then you now go to the gym, and another opportunity to work on your discipline as well as work on your fitness. Like saying you've had ups and downs, like you have to recognize that like you didn't just have ups and downs, like you were the up and down. Okay. But that in this situation, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Obviously you want to figure out a way to stay consistent. The best way that you can do that is to scrutinize, analyze, and really dissect those times and those periods where you were at an up. Like, what were you doing then? What were you eating then? What was your schedule like with your workout? How are you feeling then? Look at some of the things that you were doing then and then do them now. But this time, stay consistent with doing them by cutting out and removing all the bullshit. Like, you should not be having any sort of temptation around you that would be a trigger to you to make some bad choices that are just going to move you away from, where it is that, you want to go. Look, I don't want to, at the risk of sounding like an asshole here, if you have fat friends who have no interest in improving their health, guess what? They have to fucking go. Rick, I read something recently. There was a study that came out that suggested that people who had overweight or obese friends on Facebook were like 70% more likely to be overweight themselves. That doesn't surprise me. The part about that surprises me is that it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
If you have colleagues and friends and people around you that are, not really concerning themselves with making the sort of changes and haven't had ups and downs, they've just been at a pretty constant, consistent cyclical cycle of being unhealthy and being fat and not having confidence and not having the same opportunities as fit and healthy people have. Like, you gotta, you don't want to be a dick about it, but you got to create a little bit of space and do your best to get around people that are fit and healthy and go to the gym and go, there's all this, you hear a lot around this time of year when obviously New Year resolutions are big, right? A lot of new people in the gym. You hear a lot of people and see a lot of people posting about, hey, if you're in the gym and you see somebody who's overweight and new to the gym and they're struggling, go up and help them and give them encouragement and all that. And look, I agree with that. Of course I agree with that. I love that. That's the way it should be, not just during the new year, but that's the way it should be all the time. But let's put a little responsibility on the people who are overweight, okay? If you're overweight and you don't know what the fuck you're doing, work up the courage to go and speak to somebody. I'm not saying go up to somebody and ask them to stop their workout to come like train you in the gym, but start cultivating relationships, saying hello, introducing yourself to the people that you see at the gym, just to kind of get that positive circle and develop that group of like-minded individuals that are on the same path, because that transference of energy is going to benefit you and be productive. Like, you know, I get it. It can be intimidating, but again, like, what are we going to do here? Right? Are we going to use that as an excuse? Or we're intimidated and we don't want to go introduce ourselves? Like, well, I mean, what do you think is the worst thing that can happen? I'll tell you, man, like I would be the one to stop my workout. And if somebody came up to me and
I was going to say, this probably happened a lot to you. It's happened to me as well. And it's like, you're more than happy to like take time out and talk to people.
It's like, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for looking at me as someone like that you would entrust to kind of give you advice. Like I would absolutely love that. And you know, it does happen a lot. I wouldn't say it happens a lot with people who are significantly, you know, overweight or out of shape. Like, you know, this person most likely is, but we got to put some responsibility on them. It's like, you know, as much as I, you know, want this person to turn it around and figure out a way to be consistent and stage their comeback and then be an inspiration for people that are in their same position, you know, it's just not something that happens. You know, nobody's coming to save you. You have to save yourself. And again, some of the things I would recommend is, you know, not only cutting off the fat, unhealthy, miserable people that are around you that have no ambition to change, but to start cultivating relationships and getting yourself around, you know, healthy people that are on the path that you want to be on, and just kind of get that energy in your life, learn what you can from them, and just have a very, just a more positive support system to help you move forward with where you're trying to go.
Yeah. And if you have time and you're really serious, educate yourself a little bit. There's great books, and there's also incredible documentaries.
Great point.
A lot of really good documentaries on what the fast food does to you. When you start to understand the science of what you eat and what it does to you, and what, you know, inversely eating good food does.
Yeah.
Man, the light bulbs go off in your head and there's no turning back.
That's such a great point.
Yeah.
The education aspect, not just if you're overweight, like if you're looking to get to the next level, and look, there's always a next level. People wonder, like, you know, they ask me, like, man, how do you know some of this stuff? How do you come up? Like, because I put in hundreds of hours of my time to do research, to learn, to watch interviews from some of the most, you know, respected authorities in, when I say the space, like whatever area that I'm looking to improve on, I want to learn from the best. And, you know, we live in the age era of information. Like, it is your responsibility to, I don't know how to do this. Well, fortunately, you have the opportunity right now, like most likely if you're listening to this on your phone, right? Like using the same device that you're listening to us on, you have the opportunity to start Google searching and YouTubing away and informing yourself, educating yourself. If this is something you want, if this is something you're serious about, then you're going to do the work. And sometimes the work isn't, you know, just structuring, you know, your meals, eating every 3 to 4 hours, you know, counting calories and going to the gym and all that. Sometimes the work is educating yourself. So when you do go and start that diet, and you do go and you do that workout, you actually know what the hell you're doing.
Yeah. And I would say this too. It's like, you should find inspiration. There's a lot of people even a lot of celebrities who lost a lot of weight and they do things the right way. It's great to find inspiration, but the problem with inspiration is you need it again and again and again. Education, it lasts a lot longer, in my opinion.
It's permanent.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it gives you the ability not only to make the necessary improvements in your life, but to then share and bestow that knowledge on others who, you know, might be in the position that you're in now, and help them improve as well. So look, the way you begin to stay consistent is start taking it seriously. Okay. The fact is, if anything that we value, anything that we really want, anything that we're fully committed to make happen, like, we're going to stay consistent with it because we value it. It is so important to us. And if you're not staying consistent with something, no matter how much you'd like to think that you are and how much you really would kind of like to do it, please recognize it's for no other reason than you haven't labeled this as a must. Okay. If you want to change your life, you have to start changing your shoulds, and they need to become musts.
Agreed. Good stuff. All right.
Let's move on.
Next question is, will you at Nutrition Solutions be doing the 6-week transformation challenge this year? That's at destroy-_average.
Man, I'm so happy that somebody asked this. So the question is, will Nutrition Solutions be doing the 6-week transformation challenge this year? The answer is absolutely. Of course we will. We will never not do a transformation challenge in a given year. And I hope to get to the point where, we have the bandwidth and capacity to do several of them.
Yeah.
What I've decided to do is temporarily postpone it from when it usually runs. Usually we do it starting in the second and third week of January is when we've done it historically. And we've had a tremendous amount of success. Obviously, with January being like, look, it's a new year, New Year's resolutions, new year typically give people hope. They set goals. Historically, that's been a good time to do this. And I just thought that, in light of the political climate right now, in light of the fact that in five different states in the United States, gyms are closed. Once Biden takes office, who knows what that could look like.
Sure.
The interesting thing about the transformation challenge that we do in Nutrition Solutions is it's not just for our clients. It's open to anybody who wants to do it for free from anywhere in the world.
Right.
And, I know that most people probably don't do, they're probably not aware. It's not anything they think about, but in most countries, gyms are closed.
Yeah.
So, if you're listening to this right now and you have the ability to go to the gym, regardless if you have to wear a mask or whatever, just understand how fortunate you are. I have people that I do business with over in the UK, and it is, the climate over there, we're not talking about like gyms. The gym is probably the last thing that they're thinking about, but just the quality of life. They're locked down.
Yeah.
So I just thought that in light of that, it is my intention and my goal and exactly what will happen that every year, the challenge, the outcome, the transformations, just the amazing, inspiring stories that are created in the process. It is my intention that improves every single year. First time we did it and in 2019 was great. 2020 put it to shame. In 2021, we will do the same. I want this to be a success. I want everybody who wants to be part of this to be able to do that and to have the resources and means of being able to do it. So, I'm going to look at what's going on. I'm going to keep up with everything. And I'm hoping to do it once we kind of see a light at the end of the tunnel. And, once things kind of somewhat go back to normal, I plan on putting on the most epic transformation challenge that's ever been done. And I honestly mean that.
Yeah. I think it would be, let's say epic to do an actual show 1 year when the time is right. That would be fascinating, I think.
Yeah, we're gonna do something. Dude, it might be this year. Like, who knows? Like, I just want, again, like the thing that makes this transformation challenge special is it's open to people from all over the world, and the sense of community, the people that come together and support each other with the Facebook groups, just online. Man, it's inspiring to see people who literally
the stories, man. It's so awesome.
Some of these people, legitimately, most of them they don't know each other. The challenge is what brought them together, but to see them encouraging each other, supporting each other, even calling each other out in a productive way, it's fucking awesome. And I know that the challenge is the catalyst for that. And I would hate for individuals that are just residing somewhere where the conditions aren't ideal. I would hate for them to have to sit on the sideline and miss out on this life-changing opportunity.
Agreed.
For so many. So the decision was made to call it off. It was a tough call, but I feel it was the right call to make. But I do give everybody my word that when it's on, you'll know about it, because it will be nothing short of epic, like we said.
Cool. Next question is, how would you handle a sister who lost a child and seems to have no motivation to get up? How do you push someone who may not want to be pushed? That's from Anonymous Dash.
Yeah, that's a tough one. And let's have this be the last one if we could.
Yeah.
I couldn't even imagine the pain, the trauma. Just I couldn't imagine what it would feel like to lose a child. So I certainly can't speculate as to how she is feeling. But what I will say is, sometimes when people get knocked down, sometimes, whether they want to get up or not, it's on us to bring them back to their feet and to get them going in the right direction. And the fact is, nobody wants to be miserable. Nobody wants to stay miserable. Nobody wants to stay broken. But sometimes when you're broken, things just seem so bad that you just don't think that it's possible to kind of to fortify the situation at hand. I mean, with that type of stress, with that type of loss, with that type of trauma, I can only speculate that it's probably significantly disrupted her senses, her ability to kind of, her entire brain has probably been short-circuited as a result of this situation. God, and there's really not a whole lot of context here. Like, are we talking about like a 4-year-old, or are we talking about like, a baby that was born perhaps a few weeks after it came out of the womb? Either way, it's got to be tough. But I think that the way you deal with it is to be massively empathetic, to be overly supportive, and to be patient.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Gently push.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so hard to see people in situations, regardless of the circumstance, regardless if it's tragedy like this, which is completely understandable for someone to be in a dark, dark place. It's so tough to see somebody basically make what is already a terrible situation so much worse by kind of stewing in there and staying in that place and using it as like, I don't want to say an excuse. That's not the right word to use in this context, but basically just letting a situation that has happened. It has happened. It has come and it has gone, but continuing to live there and recreate those emotions and feelings and just stay in that place and not move forward. It's so hard to see somebody do that when, it's very easy. You just got to get up, just stand up and just take one step.
Yeah.
Just start there. But they don't see it like that. That first step, that initial work, that, to get themselves back on the feet and just to start seeing the world again for what it really is. It's hard. So, you don't necessarily have to agree with the way that somebody handles something and how your sister might be, dealing with this, but understand that you have a responsibility as a human being to do everything you can to help this person get back in the game. And I think that the way that you can do that is by having those conversations, by being fully transparent. And that's a thing a lot of people struggle with. A lot of people struggle with just working up the courage and having the fortitude to look somebody in the eye and just say, like, sis, look, I love you, but what you're doing now, like you're just letting your whole life pass you by.
Yeah.
This has happened and we have to move on. We have to learn. We have to get stronger. We have to live for this child. We have to honor this child through our actions and not stay in this place. And you have to understand that I love you. Like, the rest of the family loves you. And this is impacting us as well. We're all hurt. But we need to heal together. And if somebody is staying in that place, you cannot heal.
Yeah. We also don't know how long they've been in this place, which is another thing.
The way that I'm answering this is predicated off of my belief that they've been there for quite some time.
Because there is a time to mourn.
Of course. I believe what the fact that this person asked this question, that it has to be a period of significance. Yeah.
Yeah. The old saying, whatever you think about gets bigger is true.
God.
Right? So this person is dwelling on this and it's just weighing her down. But listen, she's your sister. You know what she likes. You know what inspires her. So you're going to have to think a little harder outside the box maybe to get her involved in things that she might want to do. Whether it's organizations, whether it's organizations or a business or something, but gently push her that way. And maybe she will start to concentrate on that and dwell a little less on the tragedy.
Yeah. And again, it can be tough. Like, first of all, everybody's busy. Everybody has their own shit going on. This is an entirely other massive commitment that's going to require a lot of energy. But look, you know, as a human being, it's the right thing to do. If you're in a position to help, you know, you absolutely should. And I get it. Like, you know, this is where the patience and empathy comes in. It can be frustrating when you see somebody, regardless of circumstance, somebody dwelling on something and literally making their own situation worse. It can be tough and frustrating, and you don't want to be around that. I totally get that, but I will tell you that you will never forgive yourself if you don't objectively do everything that you can to try to help this person. Sometimes we have to put ourselves in situations that we don't want to be in. And, you know, we have to put ourselves in situations that, you know, quite frankly, we have no business being in. I mean, I'm the first to say, like, you have to cut off negative people, regardless if it's your friends or family. In a situation like this, you have to do a good job recognizing that this isn't your sister, the person that you've known your entire life. This is a very, very damaged version of somebody who's just experienced trauma at probably, I mean, I think we can agree this is one of the most, if not the most significant acts of trauma anybody could be subjected to. And, you know, if you've never really been through trauma, if you've never really been through a situation where, you know, you've been abused or just put in terrible circumstances or extreme or experience extreme loss, you don't understand how that affects you and how that changes you and how difficult it is to see clearly at that point. Your entire perspective is, you know, it's like you have blinders on. You're seeing the world from this skewed, warped sense of reality. And, you know, just having a little bit of empathy and just being overly supportive. But I think having those conversations and being upfront and seeing where her head is at and asking those questions, you know, again, nobody wants to be in a situation like that. Nobody wants to, you know, have gotten knocked down and stay there. Although some might act like it. Some, it might appear to the untrained eye from an outsider looking in that that person has no desire to get up. Perhaps they just don't feel that they have the strength that is physically possible for them to get up. And that's where, that's when you need to take action. That's when you need to step up. And I really hope that the person that asked this would follow up and send me a message. And you know, maybe we could talk a little more about it and they could keep us updated. Because the way, I mean, this is a huge opportunity for someone to literally save a life. I mean, I feel continuing to live in a state of misery over something that has happened in the past, regardless of how significant. I mean, I don't know that would exactly classify as living.
Great.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think the key word that you said is patience.
Yeah.
And then gently nudging for whatever.
Aggressive patience, meaning don't just sit back and wait for them to just miraculously turn it around. Like, you got to try different things. And, you know, maybe the first 2-3 things that you try don't get the reaction that you're looking for. It's most likely not going to, but you know what? It gets you that much closer than what will.
Yeah.
And if nothing else, the little bit of support and positivity and love and understanding and compassion that you're giving your sister, who knows, maybe her just recognizing that and seeing that and just being able to experience and be on the receiving end of that love, maybe that'll give her hope. Maybe that'll give her hope to pull herself up by the bootstraps and continue to live her life and move forward and celebrate the life of the child, and through her actions live in such a way where, you know, her child could be looking down from the heavens and be proud of her mom.
Yeah.
So
It's a tough one.
yeah. So we'll end on that note. But yeah, guys, I appreciate your questions. It's kind of weird ending on like kind of a somber note like that. You know any good knock jokes? Anyway, look, we're never going to end on a negative note here. That's just not what we do. This is an opportunity. I don't look at this as a negative situation. I look at what happened as a tragedy. But man,
it's an opportunity to figure it out.
God,
you can do it.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
It's a character building opportunity, and literally, like, what doesn't kill you only makes you stronger, but you have to accept that in. You have to let it in order to evolve, from something like this. So, send us a DM if you were the one who wrote this question. I definitely would like to hear a little more context and just to be updated. I feel now that, I don't know, I feel like we're kind of part of it now.
Yeah.
So anything that we can do to help, anything that I can do to help. I mean, I'm here. I take these things very, very seriously. And, again, I know how difficult it is for the person who sent this question. Like all the things I just said, it sound great, but they're incredibly difficult to do.
Yeah.
So if there's some input or insight or coaching I could provide to make this process a little less daunting to help get the outcome we're after, be happy to do that. But yeah, appreciate you guys listening today. Thank you so much for the continued support. We're going to be coming back at you real soon. I have the next 4 podcast topics, man, are going to be
cool.
really, really, really solid. Yeah, we got some guests that are going to be coming in, soon. We'll talk. Well, we won't talk about that in advance. We'll just kind of have them pop up and surprise the listeners. But guys, really, really appreciate it. Leave us a review on iTunes if you have yet to. And Rick, thank you for today.
Thank you.
Awesome, guys. Kick ass this week, and we'll talk to you soon.